Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is David. Today what we're going to be doing is some color knitting. This is with the tuck stitch, and let's see how it works. What we're going to do today is we're going to do some a tuck stitch that's in color knitting or with a color pattern, and I just wanted to show this on a basic level. And here I've cast on some yarn already. If you look at one of the other videos, you will see how I cast on with this the Knitmaster mod 150. Basically I just wanted to use a double knit here just to show you how the stitches look on the front and on the reverse side. And what I'll also be doing is I'm just going to show the basic pattern, one basic pattern for one of them, and then I'm just going to do a few other patterns, but I won't be showing all the patterns. So let's see how this tuck stitch works. What I'm doing here is I'm doing two color yarns, and I've chosen these two Pacific colors. I think they go well together. And what I'm going to do is just show you how I've done it. I've already set up the yarns onto the tension unit, and I've already wound the yarn that I'm going to use. This is my main yarn, this color that I'm using now, and this is my secondary yarn that I'll be using. So let's see how this tuck stitch works. What you do now is that you adjust your cam levers and also your tension unit, tension dial, so that you can create the pattern that you need to do. The first thing on the tension dial is you turn this to 0. And then on the left hand side, on the left lever, you press it down to 2, and on the right side you press it down to 1, and it's on 1 already, which is in hold. And basically what you do is you knit 2 rows that you need to do to start this knitting. What you're going to do now is you're going to take the yarn out of the sinker plate or the yarn feeder, and basically what you're going to do is take it to the side, and there is a small pin here. If you see carefully, you can see a small pin, and what you do is I just leave a little loop underneath so it doesn't get dragged up. And what I do is I slot it into this pin, and that holds the yarn for when I do the color knitting. And basically what that does is it just holds the yarn, and it allows you to use the second yarn in order to create the pattern. What you're going to do now is take yarn B and put it into the sinker plate, because this will be your second yarn that you'll be working with. And normally what I do is I just put these clips on at the end of the yarn, and that seems to hold the yarn down fairly well. And I often just check it before I knit anyway, just to make sure it doesn't get tangled. What I'm going to do now is set the needles into the position, and after 3 needles you do 1, 3 needles, 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 1. And that is the basics of doing this pattern. Here is another angle of how I position the needles. It's a very basic pattern, and it's really quite easy to do. Basically what I've done is I've worked 8 stitches by 8 stitches. So when you do your patterning, just count how many stitches are needed within the pattern, and then when you size your sample, you basically size it on the amount of stitches you're going to use. So for this pattern, it's asking 8 by 8 stitches in order to do the patterning. So I've just done enough needles to do the 8 by 8. What you do now is you reset the Russell levers back to 1 on the left side, and what you're going to do now is you're going to knit 4 rows all together to create the pattern. What you're going to do now is do your 4 rows, and that's part of your first part of your tuck stitch. And that is the first part of the pattern of your tuck. What you do now is you change your yarn to the other yarn that you're going to use, and this will be the yarn that you're going to do just a normal knit with, and you tuck this yarn into that pin on the side and you just create a loop. And what you're going to do is you take your Russell lever and you push down, and then you knit 2 rows in normal knitting. Now I'm going to knit the two rows in normal knitting. And that's the first section of your pattern done. Here you're going to change your yarn again to yarn B. This is the other color knitting that you just unhook. You insert it in, and you basically just swap the yarns over. You put your left Russell lever up to 1, and then you do the pattern. What you're going to do now is do the needle positions. The pattern says you push 1 out and you leave 3 in, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, and that is the second part of how you do the pattern. And now you're going to do 4 rows, and that will be the second part of the pattern that you've got to do. And what you do now is going to do another 4 rows for your tuck stitch. And those are your 4 rows for the tuck stitch, and this is the second part of the pattern. Here's where you change your yarn again and you do the repeat process. Here I've got yarn B, this is yarn B, and I'm going to change it back to yarn A, and this will just be a repeat of the pattern. And you insert the yarn into the pin on the side, and what you do with your Russell levers, you push it up to 1 again, down to 2, because you're going to do 2 rows of normal knitting, and that forms part of the pattern. And here we're going to do just 2 more rows in normal knitting, and this forms the part of the completed pattern. And that is your pattern complete. You do this process again and again as a repeat, and this will form your pattern for your 2 colored tuck stitch. Well, what I've done here is I've done a whole lot of patterns that I wanted to do for this tuck stitch and color knitting, and it came out really interesting. The other thing I wanted to try is I just wanted to try something without the tuck brushes. because, or should I say, the brushes that came with the knitter. Um, in the pattern instructions, they say you should use the brushes that come with it. So I thought, well, maybe I should just try and see if I can leave those brushes out. So that is one of the things that I did. And the actual knit actually came out, and I had to kind of figure out what the actual tuck brushes did in order to make this pattern work. Now, I started out with this knit, this basic knit here, and it was relatively easy. This is how it came out on this side, and this is what it looks like on the other side. Um, I think both sides are really interesting. I really like this side as well. I just thought it was very interesting. But here it actually made a kind of pattern, and I think that's really interesting how this is worked out. Um, I found this really easy to do. It wasn't difficult at all. And when I did this pattern, it looks exactly how it was on the instruction manual. And this is what the one that I've shown in the beginning. But I thought, well, I need to try some of the other patterns, and they work out the same way. The second one I did came out really interesting surface effect. On this way, it looks kind of interesting as well. And I thought this would be an interesting thing to do, and just to see how it look. I actually like this side more. I think it's an interesting pattern to do, and I probably might do this actual pattern somewhere along in the future. I'm not actually sure when, and but I really love it, and I love actually how it looks and how it works with the colors. The second one the third one I did was kind of like kind of a ribbing almost, kind of looked more like a ribbing, and this worked out really well. It actually looks better this side when you see it. I think this is great. I think this is a really nice, simple way of doing the pattern, and you can see it just looks really interesting. And this is something I might do again. It was only 4 rows of patterning that was in this pattern, and but as you can see with the colors, it works really well. The last one I did was really interesting. Um, and what I found with it was that it was very unique, and it looked really interesting on either side. So you can see that this pattern section works really well. Um, it's with this pattern that I noticed what the tuck brushes are for, and I realized the importance of the tuck brushes on some of these patterns. When you've got really large pattern pieces like this of different colors that you're doing, it's better to use the tuck brushes because then it makes it lie a little bit more flat, and this is how it should work with this pattern, especially when you've got wider, bigger patterning sections to do. With this one, you didn't need the tuck brushes at all because you have a lot of close knitting patterns together. So what happens is you don't really need the tuck brushes for this. And actually, I would say on certain circumstances and certain patterns, I wouldn't use the tuck brushes at all. But overall, I just found this really a nice way of doing color knitting without having to be too complicated and actually create patterning that is really, really interesting. Um, I really, like I said, I really like this one that I've done, and I'm thinking very much of doing this again in the future. I've got a book somewhere that I'm going to have to look at. It works on 8 stitches, 8 stitch patterning. So I will be looking for that book and just to see what I can find there of interest. So I might be doing some of those patterns, and I just have to find something of interest or find a pattern that would be interesting. So this is the overall patterning that I have. on this Knitmaster mod 150. It's actually a really nice machine. I really love it. I'm probably going to use this quite a bit because I want to do some projects that are of interest, and I will be looking to see what I'm going to be doing somewhere in the future. So this is the end of the video. I just want to say thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I will be seeing you soon in the next project as soon as I decide what I'm going to do, and I will see you then.